Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on Five Under Five, our podcast. This week, we have a special guest. We have Lindsay Wheeler, who is the author of Chapter 4 in our book, Rise and Find, An Ambitious Woman's Guide to Building Your Dream Life. Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Lindsay wrote a chapter called A Life Well Planned, Barbara's Story, and we want to dive into what it's about in the next 5 questions. But first, question 1. Who are you? Tell us a little bit about you and what your interests are.
So I'm Lindsay Wheeler. I'm from High Sierra Legal and Your Estate Plan Online. We do primarily estate planning for busy professionals and young families to make sure that their legacy is protected and their families are set up.
Lindsay, that is such important work for estate planning. I know it can seem like it's a hard process, but having someone like you to help me and my family through that to make sure that should something happen to my kids or my husband, all of the estate planning is taken care of. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I love it.
Um, Question 2. What is your chapter about in Rise and Find?
So I was semi-raised by my next door neighbor, which is really cool. She was an older woman and she was kind of like the grandma of the neighborhood, if you will. And she particularly raised me and made sure that I'm not completely feral and am, successful and doing well in my life because of the sacrifices, honestly, that she made. So she's a wonderful woman. And in her older years, I was able to then kind of reciprocate that and help her out and make sure that she was taken care of, not only like, financially and with her paperwork, but also, safely in her home. And when she wasn't, I was able to step in and take care of her and make sure that she was safe and well cared for and until she passed. So that was kind of my story with her.
Well, I remember reading it and I was very impressed with the writing. So congrats on being a published author, and B, uh, your close relationship with this woman named Barbara. I
Mhm.
have here in my notes something that you had just quoted before. I'm not completely feral because of her, which I
Yeah.
think is great. Everyone remembers in the neighborhood that house that you could go to and that place you could always be yourself and find comfort and solace. So I just really connected with that. The other thing I noted here from your chapter is my appreciation for the finer things, such as fancy cheeses, cats, and Paris, all
Yeah.
come from Barbara. So she must have been a very special lady. Thank you.
Yeah, she was like the epitome of like 50 sophisticated woman, like that was her thing. She liked nice things, she worked hard. She was kind of a unique individual in the fact that she worked in corporate business, as a woman in the 50s, not just as a secretary, which would be a typical job. She was in marketing and she was shaking and moving.
She gave you not only a place to be, but a role model to look up to and find your own career path. And how full circle is it that you were able to help her at end of life? I mean, that's just crazy. Can you, question 3, what made you write it and tell us about that full circle?
I think it's a good example of how estate planning works, and it works throughout your life. It's not just for death planning, if you will, like a will would be, dealing with probate. It's for your whole life of that, when you're alive, you're able to manage all your assets just like you normally do through your estate plan and your trust. When you're not able to, like in her instance, when she was starting to get older, she was not understanding her bills as well. I'm able to step in, even though that she's kind of there, she's kind of semi able to, but through those powers of attorney, I'm able to then step in, make those decisions for her, help her out, either supplementing her help or then at one point taking over her bills, making sure that everything was done correctly. And then medical advocacy as well, because I'm not related to her, but I'm able to help her with her medical bills, medical appointments, advocate for her that way. So it's a full plan, if you will, for not only in death, but also during your lifetime, transitioning when you're not okay, and then transitioning when you are no longer with us. So it's a full holistic plan, which I really enjoy and love about estate planning. Once you do it, then you have this plan, and then you don't really have to worry about anything because you've done all the heavy lifting for yourself in the beginning, and then also for your heirs down the line.
Yeah, and I took a note here about some of the difficult stakeholders that you sometimes have to deal with. And in Barbara's case, it was her son. And
Yeah.
he in the chapter, I mean, I highly recommend you read her chapter 4 of Rise and Find. You can find it anywhere on on Amazon in paperback or hardcover, or on Kindle. But he actually tried to kill him. He did kill himself, or he tried to kill himself.
He tried to kill himself. He was kind of, mentally ill and was a drug addict. And he kind of pushed his way into her home because he had no place to live. And in one, who knows, mental illness fit or drug induced fit, like tried to, he started the car in the garage and tried to fill the house with carbon monoxide. And luckily, Barbara, being on top of things, had a carbon monoxide alarm and it woke her up. And then she was able to call, 911 and everything. And we ultimately had a restraining order against him and was able to remove him finally from the home. And so that, again, I was able to do that for her through that estate plan because I had that proxy through that power of attorney. So if I didn't, it would have been a harder road to be able to keep her safe in that regard.
Oh, end-to-end care. Wow, Lindsay. I mean, how did it feel the day you served him the restraining order in his hospital bed?
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, because he would look at me and be like, "Well, you can't get me out of here. You have to get me evicted. I live here now." Just that kind of drug induced psychosis of weirdness with people. If you've ever had to deal with that, they're not the greatest of people. So kind of having that vindication of like, no, you're not going to do this to this woman anymore.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about with your business. Question 4, you've already answered what you do and how you do it. So thank you for all that you do with estate planning. And then question 5, future forward. What are you looking forward to in 2025?
2025, I'm looking forward to just serving more people, more families, more busy professionals, particularly busy women, making sure that they're set up, their estate plans are in place. I just love to serve everybody. Expanding our Your Estate Plan online, which is our national brand. And so making sure that everybody has access to getting an estate plan in place, regardless of your location or your economic status. There's really no excuse not to get it done. We offer really competitive prices. We have a do-it-yourself option for $250, or we can do it for you for $497. There's really no barrier for you to get this done. So we make it as easy as possible and straightforward, and that's what I'm really looking forward to this year.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's great to have you on. Have a great day. You're in Reno and I'm in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.